and welcome to One Mountain, Many Paths, where our mission is a global awakening in love through unique self-symphonies. The summer series is a time when Dr. Marc Gafni steps away from One Mountain, Many Paths to focus completely on writing texts within the Great Library. And during the summer program, we are studying from The Evolution of Love, which is one of our newest releases, our newest books here at the Center for World Philosophy and Religion. So today specifically, we are talking about chapter 4, which is all about evolution living inside of us and the fact that the universe itself is an outrageous love story. It's a very exciting topic today, and today we're going to be led by two wonderful community leaders here at the center, which is one, Suzette Messa. For people who don't know Suzette, she's doing so much of the behind the scenes work to make everything and to make Marc's whole schedule work, and she's just an amazing human. So we're going to be hearing from her, and we're also going to be hearing from Kristina Tahel, who is a wonderful entrepreneur, helping humans get into the healthiest shape of their life, and is doing so much great work, and then is also channeling her work through the Center for World Philosophy and Religion. Let's jump in.
Well, hello, everyone. It's so great to provide the intention today. And I'm going to do that with a song that we're all going to be singing and dancing together in a minute. But before I do that, I wanted to tell you a little bit about this song because it's really more than a song. It's a vision. It was written by Joni Mitchell, called Woodstock, We Are Stardust. The backstory was that she couldn't be there, and she wanted to write something for her boyfriend, David Crosby, who was part of the famous band that actually made it famous itself, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. It was really about her longing to be there, to be part of this movement in the 60s of coming together and envisioning that return to the Garden of Eden, to a time when there was harmony and love and space, kind of like today, right? This song is really is not just a song. It really is a vision, and it speaks to us today. The main part of it is we are stardust, we are golden, and we've got to get ourselves back to the garden. That refrain is not just nostalgia. It is truth. It is a call. Cosmoerotic humanism reminds us of that truth. It tells us we are not strangers in a meaningless universe. We are not here by accident, adrift in some cold space. We are the universe, aware of itself. We are the cosmos, desiring, becoming, reaching for intimacy. The word erotic we use a lot is not only used in sexuality. It's all about the longing itself. This is a desire that draws the atoms into the molecules, the yearning that pulls the galaxies into the spirals, that pulls and brings human hearts into connection and souls into purpose. A good example of all of this is really the first time I met Barbara Marx Hubbard over 8 years ago. I mean, she exemplified allurement. There she was with 5 kids, and she was being pulled by one question: what is the good in all this power we have? That led her to ask questions, to meet with President Dwight D. Eisenhower. It drove her to learn more and to reach out to people like Jonas Stock, Buckminster Fuller, and eventually our beloved teacher, Dr. Marc Gafni. It was their coming together to join genius that alerted me that April day in 2018 when I literally dropped everything to meet her and Mark at a conference that was about an hour away from my home. It was that feeling that you get when you just know you're being pulled by something bigger than yourself. I'll never forget that feeling of being so welcome in the universe when Mark put his arm around me and brought me over to Barbara and says, "This is Suzette. She will be working with us." That is what I want to do with all of you together right now. I want to pull you in my arms. I want to say to you, we're all working on this together. You see, the part of the song that says we are stardust, it is not poetry. It is science. The iron on our blood, the calcium in our bones, the oxygen we breathe, all were born in the stars. And when it says, we've got to get ourselves back to the garden, it's calling us to remember, to return to the way of living where we know we belong, to the earth, to each other, to the great unfolding of life. This is cosmoerotic humanism. It is a recognition that the universe is not a machine, but a field of intimacy, alive with desire, beauty, and meaning. So with that, let's play the song, sing our lungs out, and become 1,000,000 strong as we move to return to the garden. In a new way, with a new story of value that has power, that will move the sun and the other stars. It is us. We are the unique self-symphony, the self-organizing group that's dancing and loving our way to enlightenment. But before we go there, I want to let you know that our beloved Jamie will resonate the code right after this song. So with that, Krista, let's get this party started and play the song.
Thank you, Suzette. And what a rousing intention. Beloveds, my name is Jamie Long, and I'm here today to resonate the Evolutionary Love Code, which is from part 5 of our summer program, where we're studying the book, The Evolution of Love. So today, we have a short code, which is going to distill this idea that we just heard from the song, that we are part of the universe and the universe lives in us. So today, please join me and resonate in the space between us, today's evolutionary love code. The universe never forgets. Every leap of intimacy, from photosynthesis to breath, from sensation to self-reflection, lives in us. We are not the product of evolution. We are evolution, becoming conscious of itself. I'll repeat the code. The universe never forgets. Every leap of intimacy, from photosynthesis to breath, from sensation to self-reflection, lives in us. We are not the product of evolution. We are evolution, becoming conscious of itself. And with that, I pass my word to Kristina Tahel for our message.
Thank you, Jamie, and thank you, Suzette and Krista and Eli. What a team we are. So, right, today we're doing yet another dive into this wondrous book, The Evolution of Love. And one thing, there's a little work going on behind the scenes. And could I get that link in the WhatsApp group so that I can send it to my dad, y'all? So I don't know about you guys, but I often wonder, like, I seriously spend time wondering, how do I relate, love, be in conversation with the fact that we are stardust? And not only that, but the infinity within us. I often wonder, how do I relate to all these things? And in that wondering, I'm thinking about, wow, there's 10 sextillion stars in the observable universe. This is a lot of relating. And how do I be in conversation? How do I love? How do I feel that love for all of that inside of me? And how do I share that love in the conversations that I'm having with friends, with family, with people in the book club here? And so I'm wondering if you'd be willing, if you have ideas just right off the top of your head or an experience that you can write in the chat box, I would love to see that. So just let me do this real quick. Copy, and then I'm going to paste this to my dad. Okay, there we go. So in a moment, I am going to give you a few examples of how I relate to that. But right, as Shahat just writes, it's a great question, but it's so vast. And a lot of the ideas around the Dharma are so vast. And that's the invitation to the evolution of love, is to hold the whole and be a person who can have this imagination alive within us about our ever deepening intimacies with our evolutionary process and with the insects, with the plants, with the fungi, with the infinite intimate within each of us. So how do we do that? So while we're writing about that, while we're pondering about that, I'm also going to, hopefully my dad got the link now. But anyways, as of Friday, my dad is in the hospital with heart failure, and it's painful and scary and feeling all those things, right? Because when a person is touching their toes into death, that is a time when all of this stuff really can come into the aliveness of the heart and in the feelings, and we can really feel our infinity. So I sat with him on his hospital bed yesterday with my brothers and my brother's wife and my nephew, and we were just really feeling into this quality. And so I want everyone to, yes, pray to my dad for his recovery, his full recovery for his heart. He's someone who has come to One Mountain pretty much every week for a long, long time. But the reason I had to share the link is because when we played the song, he got kicked off, and because he comes on Facebook because he has a little bit of a hard time with technology. Even though we've showed him Zoom, it's not natural to him. So, but if we could put those prayers into the chat box, that would be beautiful. People praying for me also, because he is my dad and I love him so much. So Dad, people are saying prayers for you, prayers for you, prayers for you. Okay, so now in a day-to-day way, in an ordinary life, how do we feel into this? How do we live into this? How do we, every breath, every movement? And so I'm wondering, what do you think about this experience I had? And it's interesting because I was listening to the audio version of the Evolution of Love, which is going to be on Audible any minute now. And so look for it. But I have the opportunity to hear Ted speak the Evolution of Love, and he does such a great job. So I was so deeply into this conversation and into each of you. You know, how would I be with you? How would I speak with you? How would I bring to life more the evolution of love for each of you? And one of my daily rituals is I love to go to the coffee shop in the morning right before I go on my dog walk. And it's the coffee shop that I tend to go to is in a very industrial area, and there's not a lot of nature around. And as I pull up, I always pull up to the signs that say 5-minute parking, because I just order it on the app and then run in and get it. And I pull up, and instantly I see on that sign that says 5-minute parking, this ginormous praying mantis. And I hardly ever see praying mantis. And I was thinking about prayer in One Mountain at that moment. And then there is that praying mantis on this sign. And it's just so funny. And so I'm just completely enchanted. And for those of you who know, I like to take a lot of photographs in a day. At different times in my life, I've taken up to 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 photographs in a day. I find it to be such a tremendous practice to capture a slice of time and feel the beauty, the wonder, the awe. So there I am taking pictures of this praying mantis, getting closer and closer to it. And it is turning its head and looking at me. I'm a little afraid of it because it's got these ginormous claws with little sharp pincher things on it. But it's fascinating because it's really tracking me, and its eyes are prehistoric, right? It's just amazing. I'm in awe, and I'm in wonder, and I'm in communion with this praying mantis. So no one else seems to notice at all. So I go in, I grab my coffee, I come back out, it's still there. I'm sure it's been there more than 5 minutes, but it's still there. And so I'm taking pictures from this angle and towards my car. And this woman walks by me and she says, "Isn't that cute?" And I think someone saw the praying mantis with me and they think it's cute. And I'm like, "Yeah, that's so cute." And then she says, "It looks like your dog is driving." And then I look up and I see that one of my dogs is in the driver's seat. So she hadn't seen the praying mantis, but she had seen, she thought I was taking pictures of the dog. So anyways, wonder, do you think that is a moment when I am being intimate with this amazing, magical universe that we live in, where we come from stardust, literally, and so does that praying mantis, and so does everything. And I want to relate to these things like they're relatives. That insect, so I'm not just taking its picture, I'm getting to know it. And so I don't know what you guys are saying in the chat box, but I want to look in the chat box to see what you're all saying. More prayers from my dad. That's so beautiful. Thank you, Suzanne. So that is the first thing that I wanted to say. That bug, I must say, that bug is now a character in my sacred autobiography. And for those of you who read my memoir, What My Brother Knew, I don't know where it is. It's over there. But anyways, that is part of my sacred autobiography, is living here in Wisconsin, being out in nature a lot, but really having and developing and honing a deep intimacy with the natural world in such a way where you get a felt sense of a moment. Many moments become timeless. They become spaceless. I'm just there with that bug, and I'm being intimate, and I'm in the moment, and I'm in love, and I'm so happy to be alive, and I'm in awe and wonder. And again, that is what this book, The Evolution of Love, is all about. Awe and wonder and being in love and loving more outrageously, right? Part of that story about the praying mantis is, it's kind of outrageous that this woman is there, like completely enchanted with this praying mantis, and the humor of it being on this sign and on and on. So there's that. So part B, we'll call that part A of my talk today. Part B, this concept that's in this chapter that we're working on. And just so y'all know what the chapter, so in case you want to read it, it's 4 in part 2, First Notes on Reality as an Outrageous Love Story. Evolution lives in us. Evolution lives in us. And one of the sections, and someone maybe can write that into the chat box, is that the universe never forgets. We are evolution, we are intimacy, and we are the memory of the universe. So the universe never forgets. It never forgot, like, how to make sunshine, how to make oxygen, so much. So the book is proposing, the Dharma is proposing, and science is backing this up, that our loving, our work, our living, our knowing, our transformation, our becoming, our forgiving, all of that, the universe doesn't forget any of that too. So that is part of part B. The other part of part B is that I just want to take a moment and sink in to the fact that we are here, beloved friends, and standing in the lineage of devotion, of cosmo-erotic humanism. And our teacher, my teacher, Dr. Marc Gafni, just a shout out to you, Dr. Marc, that you are our fire, our invitation into reality's nakedness. And so everyone together, just like we were just singing and dancing together, to what extent you were doing that or not. But right now, let us take a moment to just bow and rise in such radical devotion, being ever closer, ever more awake for the sake of the whole, here together in this new renaissance. Eli talked about this last week, the new renaissance, cosmo-erotic humanism, one mountain, many paths, with such outrageous devotion. Marc has not only gifted us this new Dharma, he has given us, and I 100% am experiencing this, a new way to know, a new way to be in relationship with myself, self to self, self to other, self to humanity, self to the intimate. He's giving us a new way of knowing, and this truth that lives between words and lives in the words of cosmo-erotic humanism. And I have to say, I've been doing a lot of podcasts for my own memoir, What My Brother Knew, and I want to talk about the Dharma and use Dharmic language as much as possible. It's very exciting to me, right? And sometimes I struggle to do that. But the other day, I did a podcast with a woman who is part of this community, Malika, and wow, the conversation that we were able to have, it was so much deeper and radical and alive, in a large part because we had this shared language between us. So I just want to say that I am so grateful, eternally grateful, that I discovered Marc, kind of like you were talking about, Suzette, discovered Barbara, discovered all of us here, discovered cosmo-erotic humanism, and that evermore I can speak in the language of the Dharma. So thank you, Marc. Thank you, Marc, for the new lineage, for being part of the Unique Self Symphony, and for just being who you are and giving us this chance to be part of these August symphonies. So I step up today with trembling and with joy and with such love and respect into Marc and into what Marc usually holds, this transmission of the Dharma of evolutionary love. So the intimate universe, we hear this a lot, but I think maybe now here today, it can come in freshly. You know, the universe, we do not just live in the universe, but the universe lives in us. The universe lives in us. And so how do we make that reality, that relationship, ever more alive and radical and on fire inside of us? And let that land, the air we breathe, the atoms in our bones, the longing in our hearts, all of it is the stuff of stars. All of it is the stuff of stars. All of it. All of it. Our intimacies are not anomalies. They're the very structure of the real. We live in an intimate universe, and the intimate universe lives in us. So, and the universe never forgets. Back to that. The universe never forgets. It learned how to eat sunlight, and it never forgot. It learned how to breathe oxygen, and it never forgot. It learned how to love, and it has never forgotten. And think about that, right? Love is not something that was always in human form, right? And we do learn as we grow and grow up and show up and clean up and become ever more awakened and put our attention in the holy and the sacred spaces and read things like The Evolution of Love and have this devotion of showing up here for this work every day. We become more love every day. And the universe doesn't forget that. It doesn't forget our loving. Never. So, and this is not a poetic metaphor. It's absolutely not a poetic metaphor. This is the deepest truth of reality. So let us breathe that in together. The deepest truth of reality. These moments right now, we're creating them together. These leaps of intimacy that live in us, that we can share with each other, that we strengthen, like I said, every Sunday, every Eros school. which is coming up in the spring, and you don't want to miss it. And yet also in every cell and every breath and the DNA that spiraled in our body, we are not separate from evolution. This whole evolutionary process, billions of years living in us, bringing us to this moment. Billions of years. It didn't just start when we were born or when we were conceived. It started way before that, and it'll continue way after our deaths. And that is the truth. And in that truth, our actions matter, not just to us, to our family, to our friends, to our communities, but our actions matter. How we love, how we think, how we pray, and how we gaze and wonder. It all matters to the whole, to the infinite intimate, to God, to she, to the learning of the cosmos. It all matters. So, besides a praying mantis, how else do I feel this in my life? How else? Well, one way, I feel it when I learned the piano. I came to music as an adult when I was 40, and now I'm 61, but I had a 10-year break in there. I had 5 years of piano. I got to an intermediate level, and then I stopped for 10 years, and then I started again with COVID. And every time I sit down to learn a new piece, every time I practice, I'm changing, I'm growing. My muscles are learning new motions. I'm hearing new sounds with my ears. And all of this engagement, all of this intimacy, all of this attention to the good, the true, the beautiful, it matters. And it is part of how I am creating new configurations of intimacy in the world and in my body. I read a new language by learning music. So that's another way. And then another way, and I know that you all know that I had to miss one mountain because I was in a pickleball tournament, but I started pickleball a couple of years ago. And that is another place where I feel these teachings. It's on the court. It's on the pickleball court. And because pickleball is not just playing a sport. It's not just going onto a court and hitting a ball. It is becoming a player. It is becoming a teammate. It is becoming part of a whole. It is paying very close attention. It is understanding the physics of the game. And it is being part of a unique self-symphony. Yes, pickleball play is a unique self-symphony practice. And it's being in the field. It's feeling the players across the net. It's watching the way their paddles tilt. It's following so many details in such a in-the-moment way. That is a way that I practice being intimate in the intimate universe. And besides discovering the new intimacies with my muscles, with other players, with motion itself, yes, even here, I push the boundaries of evolution. And I love to love. It's really my favorite thing to do, to love. And I have a history of not just being part of this community, but I also come from the 12-step programs, Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, these kinds of things. And I was taught to hug when I was in these 12-step programs. And in these 12-step programs, you always hug somebody. And so I hug people on the court. We get a point and I hug my partner. And I found out that even though it feels really great to me on the court, and I, of course, keep every boundary that needs to be kept, but I break every boundary that needs to be broken so that I can love more. I found out that for some wives, I was being seen as a husband stealer, and I am not a husband stealer, but loving out in the public can be a challenge, right? And people can get confused about what your intentions are. And so I'm here to say that I still want to love and love more on the pickleball court, even to strangers. And also I've learned to pay a little bit more attention to who's paying attention and whose feathers might get ruffled and things like that. But Again, as Dr. Mark says, we break all the boundaries that need to be broken, but we also keep all the boundaries that need to be kept, because boundaries are sacred. So the next part of this book is on anthro-ontology, and we hear that word a lot too in One Mountain from Dr. Mark. And anthro-ontology, tracing love back to its source. Like, how do we know that everything that I've just said matters to the cosmos, matters to the universe? Like, is this just made up? Well, how do we know? And this book gives us that insight into how do we know? How do we know the nature of reality? Well, we go deeper inside. Anthro-ontology is a pillar of cosmo-erotic humanism, and it teaches us that our clarified interior experiences disclose the interior cosmos. Like, I can trust my experience with the praying mantis. I can trust my experience on the pickleball court, even though, you know, different people have different perspectives. I can trust my experience of being here, of the Dharma. I can trust all of this because you can trace your own love back to the love that lives in all things. And that is a rigorous path. And in the book, The Evolution of Love, From Quarks to Culture, the rise of evolutionary relationships in response to the meta crisis, there are 4 steps. 1, clarify your direct experience. 2, compare it to others who have done the same. 3, look globally, see if it appears around the world. 4, look through time, see if it has always appeared. And as Dr. Mark tells us, this is the royal road to knowing. This is radical empirism. This is the new science of the sacred. So trust yourself, trust your direct experience. Read this book and learn this rigorous path of direct knowing to this deep nature of reality. That reality is not static, it's not a thing. That reality is Eros, that evolution is the intimacy. Evolution is the story of intimacy intensifying, of love becoming more conscious, more complex, more tender. Evolution, the evolution of relationships from atoms to cells, from lungs and fish to eyes and tribalites, to you and me, sitting here longing for more for ourselves, for our loved ones, for the whole entire world, for the fish, for the bugs, longing for so much more. And that stars are our ancestors and that we carry their longing. This anthro-ontological practice, this tracing of value that runs through all of time and leads straight to this moment, to us, to you, that we matter, that all of this matters, that our loving, that these prayers to my dad matter, and that we are all needed by all that is, that this is not a myth or wishful thinking, but it is the nature of reality. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here with me, for feeling my enthusiasm for this incredible world that we live in and for this incredible Dharma of cosmo-erotic humanism. And I turn my word to you, Eli.
Hello. Good to be back. First, let me just say, Kristina, the way that Kristina's eyes light up when she like sees nature is so, it's just so like pure. It's such a good thing. I've had the chance to hang out with her in person twice now, and both times I was just like blown away by like the childlike openness of her heart, especially when it comes to nature. And also her eye with photography is crazy. I've been doing like video photo work for pretty much my whole life as a hobby or as a job. And then I was looking through her pictures. I was like, I would have never thought to take this picture from this angle. And she like captures light, like literally focuses on the light in an image in a way that I've never seen someone do, and like reveals really cool things. So if anyone gets the chance, have her show you her photography. and just hang out with her in nature because it's fun. But yeah, so thank you, Kristina, and thank you, Suzette, and thank you, Jamie, and thank you, Krista, for starting this all off with a gorgeous song. What I want to talk about now is the gorgeous opportunity that we have coming up. But to make it a bit more real, the last couple of days, I was having a really hard time. And I was having a really hard time because I'm in kind of like just settling down for the first time after this like long summer of like crazy adventures, running around all the place. And now it's like, oh, now it's time to like be here, lock in, actually like get the things done. And whenever you get to this point where there's like a big to-do list, or at least for me, I can become like really overwhelmed with what I'm actually capable of doing. I can feel this like, wow, there's so much I can actually do now that I'm like in one place, can settle, can do. But then there's this wild wave of anxiety of like, I am not good enough for this. I don't know if I have what it takes. And I was realizing over the last few days that I was like in this deep state of like questioning myself and my purpose. And then I got a voice message from Marc that was so gorgeous, where he was talking about this idea of reality contemplation. And it kind of ties together with everything Kristina was saying here, with where reality contemplation is one of the first practices of becoming homo amor. And what it's really about is going into your story and seeing how everything in your life led to you being at this moment where you have whatever opportunity you have. And there are so many unfathomable amounts of things that had to happen to get you here for this perfect moment. So of course you're ready. Of course you have what it takes. Of course you are the hero. But the only way to like really tune into that is to go back to your own story and see that it is real in your life, meaning that like whatever opportunities you're coming up to at this point in your life. And a lot of us here, I know, have big ideas of like, I want to change the world in this way. I want to do this thing. I want to help humanity in this way. And it's awesome. And we are actually capable and able to do that. But the only way to do it is to consistently remain in your story. And of course, we're all going to fall out of our story, get pulled into drama loops in our head. But to return is this idea of a reality contemplation, meaning go back to the story of the cosmos, go back to the story of your life that led you to this moment to empower you. And the really fantastic thing that I've been spending a ton of time working on right now for the center is the next evolution in terms of our educational platform, our ways of bringing these teachings of cosmoerotic humanism into our real embodied daily life. So what we're building right now is the beginning of what we are calling the new Renaissance. We've all been working and learning about Homo sapien to Homo amor and this rebirth process. And the word Renaissance literally translates to rebirth. And Marc also always refers to the fact that the work that we're doing here is the same type of work that they were doing in the Renaissance, when the civilizations around Europe were crashing down, the plague had spread through, everyone was confused and lost. But then a group of people were gathering at the Florentine Platonic Academy, doing the deep, deep work to bring science, religion, art, culture all together into one framework of what it means to be a human, that then spread throughout the world, spread throughout Europe, and literally created a rebirth of humanity, a renaissance. And we are in the same moment right now. Nature goes in cycles, as Kristina was just talking about, with those 4 questions to ask of what is the truth. So we are at this point where we're working on rebirthing humanity, and you and I are literally at the heart of it. Like, we are in the new Florentine Platonic Academy. So what we are doing is rebranding that sort of idea to become the Renaissance Academy. So this is going to be the place where all of the cosmoerotic teachings come to life, and where you can actually step in to Homo Amor in your own life. We're going to be learning from Dr. Marc Gafni. And there's an amazing, amazing course coming up at the end of September called The Path of the Wounded Hero. So that whole arc I just told you about coming into my own story and realizing that having those reality contemplations to bring me out of my wound and back into my hero, which is a constant thing to work on. We're going to be going very, very deep into how to do that type of thing, how to deal with your wound, how to actually transform it and alchemize it on the inside so that you can start to change your life and human reality on the outside. So the Path of the Wounded Hero is going to be our first deep dive course. These courses last year, we did a quarterly deep dive course with Dr. Marc Gafni, and each one was an individual course that you could purchase on your own. Now we're making it way simpler, way cooler. All you need to do is sign up for the Renaissance Academy, and all of those courses are already included in this one place. So there's literally just one place to go. Jamie can put the link in the chat right now, and you guys can sign up. The Path of the Wounded Hero. It's going to be an amazing experience. Dr. Marc Gafni also just put out a podcast with Parallax, because we're doing that Wounded Hero course in combination with Parallax. And there's now a podcast online that you can go listen to called The Path of the Wounded Hero with Dr. Marc Gafni. If you want to hear some more details about what types of things we're going to be learning about, it's really incredible stuff. And it's the really practical stuff that if you're someone out here who is a visionary, you're a Renaissance human, you're the person who wants to see the rebirth of humanity, this is going to be the perfect class for you to be able to get out of your own way and step into your heroic form, which is a terrifying process and absolutely the most joyous thing that you can do, because it's the thing that makes life, it makes your whole story make sense. Makes your whole life make sense. Once you realize this is the story I've been on, this is the story humanity's on, here's how we come together in my unique hero. But in order to get there, you got to figure out how to deal with your unique wound. So that's what this course is all about. So please, everyone, come and join Renaissance Academy. It's going to be so fun, so amazing, and so deep, so intimate. So yeah, and I will now pass my word to the wonderful Krista to close us out for today.
Yes. Thank you, Eli. And I mean, speaking of practicing what you preach, and that is not so easy. Like, how do we actually become homo amor? And we need to model that for ourselves. And then we need to model that for each other and remind each other. And that is exactly what this community is about. So let's do that for each other. Let's be that for each other. Let's be the new Renaissance together. I think the link is in the chat box where you can actually sign up and still get your free access for another week, I think, Eli. But click that link and you will see, you will read more information about it, and you can already get into the platform. You can see everything that is there, all the courses, daily prayer. We're praying together every day. So there's a lot of beautiful things, and I can't wait to just be together and get to know each other and deepen together.